So just take a comfortable seat, finding that place that you know so well, resting in the brilliance in the temple of the spine. Once the structure is still, the physical body is quiet, you can draw your attention to the breath. And without changing the breath, without doing anything to it, just notice where you are at this moment. The breath is the link or the bridge between the body and the mind. And become aware of the state of your mind. The state of your emotions. And your overall well-being at this moment. This is our starting place, where we open to grace, open to the possibilities. Bringing your hands together. As you touch your thumbs to the breastbone, slide your thumbs up the skin. You'll raise the rib cage ever so slightly, and you might notice your shoulders release. From there, bow your head. Let the class be exactly what you need this morning. After your next exhale, you can release your hands, softly open your eyes, and roll your shoulders. Good morning, Carmen's here. Yeah. So we're going to start lying down, as we always do, on our back in Shavasana. And just like we did just now in the centering, I want you to take a moment to notice how you're feeling and what your body is feeling on the floor. So when you lie all the way down, what I like to do is lift my hips up so that I can reset my spine. Let the palms be open, just like if you were going to go to Shavasana, and let your legs come down. And now just take a moment here. You might notice something you didn't notice before, tightness in your lower back, or maybe your shoulders aren't even. We allow the breath just to be free and relaxed, the body breathing. Now I'm going to start with a movement that I learned from my teacher here. He calls it Satya, which is it's his version of Yin, but it's in slow motion. Some of you might have done it with me already. So what we're going to do is just bend the knees and keep the feet about neutral position. And then take your arms out so that they're away from the body, ideally in about a T shape. If you were with me last week, we did this one. So I want you to just start by letting your knees move to the left, and at the same time, turn your head to the right and look at your palm that's up. Stay here for a breath and turn your other palm down so your left hand palm is on the floor, right hand palm is up. On your inhale, you're going to come to center. You're going to flip your hands and you're going to look and go the other way. So right knee, knees go to right, head goes to left, left palm turns up, right palm turns down. Inhale, come up, and then exhale, rotate and go the other way. Now the trick here is to try to go in slow motion and not press your body into any place it doesn't want to go, but just allow it to move into the end range And as we go, you might choose to, instead of stopping your hand palm up, you could continue to turn it so that it actually tries to flip all the way over. Inhaling, coming back up. Switching sides, and again, if you're looking at your palm up, you could choose to continue to rotate that hand all the way around, see where it wants to go. And without even trying, you might notice you're doing that same exact thing on the other side. One hand's trying to turn all the way around the other hand, also doing the same thing. You don't have to do that at all. It's just a little extra rotation. It might feel good to give it a try. And notice as we're going back and forth, how much you're trying, how much you're wanting to do more. See if you can soften that just a little bit. The next time you come to the side, find your place back in the middle. Bring your arms down by your side and bring your legs down in Shavasana. And just take a moment here. What do you notice? Take a nice deep breath. Then we're going to turn over onto our bellies. And what I'd like you to do here is I'd like you to put your elbows right next to your body so your forearms are going to stay on the floor. You're going to start with your head down. And on your inhale, I want you to lift your head and shoulders. Don't lift your elbows in one leg. And then your exhale, lower everything back down. Inhale, head, shoulders, and other leg. And exhale back down. Now find your slow motion. Find your smooth flow where you're timing the breath and the movement. And then again, in this one, you could maybe find yourself trying to lift that leg up real high. I don't want your pelvis to move at all. Your pelvis stays completely still. Your rib cage stays on the floor. And you're just allowing the body to move in this very, very easy way, soothing the nervous system, flossing the tissues, communicating body and mind through the breath. Let's do two more, just nice and slow. Notice if you're holding your breath anywhere. Inhaling and exhaling. Okay, now because we're on our belly, I want you to stay here. Take your hands under your forehead and pause here. And let your body just sense and feel what's going on. Noticing the breath and the regulation of the breathing. All right, from here, I'd like you to press yourself up away from the floor, and we're going to move into our first yin pose, which is child's pose, but we're going to do a little bit of a lateral movement. So feet, knees can be apart, feet can be together. Hips slide back wherever you can. Remember, if your knees feel tight, put something behind your bottom. And walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. What I like to do is not go too far over. I want the left hip to stay down. And then let your head either rest in between your arms, or if you can put your head on the floor, put your head on the floor. You might even choose to put a blanket out in front of you so you can put your head on the blanket. So where we're here, we're going to be here for 2 minutes. What I'd like you to think about here is unwinding the tissues, releasing and letting go. We were just doing very slow motion movement. Now we're holding tension against tissue. The tension is against the ankles, the knees, the hips, and a little bit of the spine, shoulders. And remember, these joints are where our lymph, a lot of our lymph glands live, and it's where a lot of our energy marma points live. And so we want to stimulate those areas with this tension so that we can have a sense of flow when we release them. If it's a little bit uncomfortable, you feel tension or pressure, that's actually a good thing, because nothing changes without nothing changing. If there's pain or something that you might call restriction or constriction, it might be too much, so back up a little. Take a deep breath here. And then slowly bring yourself back to the center. If you're using the blanket, just shift it to the other side. We're going to walk the hands over to the left side now. Let your head release. So just remember that there is supposed to be a little bit of effort here. We do want to create a sense of effort and ease. Do-terra and sukha. Noticing your tendencies. So if your tendency is to just kind of be more relaxed, you have a little bit more kapha in you, then you're going to not put as much tension or pressure or effort into the pose to help you with something happening. If you happen to be like me and you do a little too much, notice that, because doing too much is always going to take away from the juice of the practice. And we're breathing and we're allowing. We're allowing the practice to do its magic. Many teachers who teach Yin call it a healing practice, not only for its physical benefits, but because we calm the nervous system to the point where there's healing on all levels, which is a real gift to do first thing on a Monday morning, I do have to say. Take a deep breath. And then find your way back to the center. Just for ease here, let's come up to table. And I want you to just stretch one leg back so that you can open up the bottoms of the feet and the backs of the knees. And do the other side. Just take a moment to pause here. Our third or our second shape is what we call puppy pose in traditional yoga. And you might choose again to have something for your head. I will show you with my blanket. So your arms are going to go out in front of you here. And I'd like you to see if you could keep your arms off the floor while you bring your head down. And some of you might be able to put your head on the floor. And I want you to keep your hips right over your knees. So check yourself out, make sure you're not back in child's pose. And if you're here and your arms are straight and there's just too much going on in your shoulders, let your elbows rest on the mat. And allow the chest to start to descend towards the floor. Descend towards the floor. If your elbows are more out to the walls, that's not a bad thing. Just check your shoulders. Make sure that your shoulders feel spacious. They don't feel compressed. When we're in the shoulder area, we've got a lot of bony, free structure that's going on that can feel compression easily. And the more you bring your elbows closer to your body, the less compression there'll be. So just play with that until you find just right. Just right. And we let this healing practice and the breath and the prana move through you, putting positive pressure, positive tension against the tissues for health and healing. Stay with your breathing. Stay with the practice. Notice if your mind wants to do a little walkabout as you're in your home, in your space. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly make your way back up. We're going to stay in tabletop just for a moment. And we're going to move through that Satya kind of idea again here with cat and cow. So knees underneath hips, hands underneath shoulders. Think about how you would move through cat and cow, toes turned under, tailbone, eyes and heart up on your inhale. Flip your feet, tailbone and head, round down as your back spine moves up on the exhale. Move with so much awareness. What does the whole spine now feel like? There's a reason why almost every single yoga class has tabletop in it, cat and cow in it. It's because it's one of the poses where there's no pressure on the spine at all. And it can move freely letting go in places where you might never notice, like around your rib cage or in between your shoulder blades. And most people feel like there's a lot of release when you come into cow pose with the sway, but there's also a lot of spaciousness that you can create when you go up into cat pose just by a little pressure into the hands. Let's do 2 more rounds, just taking it super slow. Notice if you're tense anywhere. Noticing if you're locked anywhere, like in your elbows. It's a really common place to be here. Good. And then when you come back through that final cat pose, we're going to find our way to our seat. And pause. Now, if you're sitting and you're like me and your hips are a little bit tighter in the morning, sit up on a blanket. You don't have to, but it's a suggestion. I like to sit right on the edge of the blanket because it helps my pelvis move forward in that anterior tilt and creates that really lovely spinal curve that we all need. Okay, we're just going to pause here for a moment, just like we would do in Shavasana, only I want you to be seated, hands down, close your eyes, and notice your breathing. Rest in the grace and temple of the spine. All righty, go ahead and open your eyes. I want you to bring your feet together. So we're going to do butterfly in yin, but it's close to our body. It's a little bit different. And you've got choices here. You can wrap your hand around your feet or grab your ankles. I'd like you to try to find a place where you can put tension and start to move forward without pulling. Okay, so I'm pretty comfortable right here. Some of you might feel like you want to move forward. It doesn't really matter where you go. Remember, find that perfect edge, that perfect dance between that tension and positive pressure we're trying to put on tissues. So if your hands are out in front of you like mine, you might choose to maybe use a bolster or blocks to put your hands up higher so you're not so rounded over. I'm just going to hold on to my feet. It's nice to close the eyes here, hold the head in a neutral position. Pay attention to the palate and the roof of your mouth. Notice where your tongue is resting. The soft palate has a direct sacred line to the midbrain, which is what we always focus on in the third eye. We touch that area of the forehead and we think that's where we're focusing on, but that area is actually in the midbrain. And it lines up with the spine. So you could even imagine from the tailbone and the dome of your pelvic floor, all the way up through the palate, soft palate of the mouth, up to the midbrain. And this line of energy stimulated with your awareness and with tension. Let your body start to fold forward as it wants to, because it will as the tissues feel like they can let go. Take a nice deep breath here. And then slowly starting to move your way back up. Bring your legs together. Stretch your legs out. We're going to go to number 2 in this little series. I want you to bring your legs outward. So thinking about wide straddle position. This is again where you could use props. Maybe you want to be resting on your forearms this time. Maybe you could rest your head in your hands. You want to put your legs out in a position where you feel some really sweet tension all the way up the inner part of the leg. So the first one we did with our knees bent was more around the inner groin and the top of the inner thigh. This kind of talks to the entire inner line of the leg, from the inner arch of the foot all the way up. You can even, if you're holding your head, you could even imagine that midbrain point and how you're sitting on the base of your pelvis, drawing the energy through the spine up to the soft palate of the mouth, the back of the palate to the third eye center. So I love this idea of you're stimulating the physical tissue, you're stimulating the energetic tissue, energetic body. Creating this deep awareness to the internal flow that goes on every second of every day. We just don't notice it because we're always busy. And even in this pose with our hand, if your hands are touching your forehead or your fingers are on the top of your head, you could be stimulating the spinal fluid, craniosacrospinal fluid. So much benefit. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly bring yourself up. Good. We're going to do one more. I want you to bring your feet together again, but we're going to do it far away from the body in traditional butterfly. Support your legs if you need that support. Use your props in the middle. So for this one, I love to use the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, blocks or blankets will work. And you come forward here. And if you're on a bolster or a block, or even if you're not, you can walk your hands forward, because when you do that, you get some of the back line of the body, which is really nice. Find your resting place. Breathe. And now you might notice that the sensations that you feel are more to the outer side of the body, outer side of the legs and hands, even though your legs are open. This meridian that you're in, this kidney 1 meridian, is very strong, very powerful. It starts at the midpoint of your foot. And they say that if this one is blocked, there's issues all over the body. So this is another really powerful yin pose that's really should be included in every class. I watch a lot of yin classes because I like to do that for myself, but I'm also learning. And it's surprising to me how it's not in very many classes. Take a nice deep breath. And slowly make your way up. Move any props out of the way. Bring your legs towards each other. A little support with your hands. Stretch the legs out. All right, the next one we're going to do is similar to one that I do all the time. It's a little variation. You can move the blanket away if you're sitting on one. And the one that I do all the time is called zigzag, right? So you kind of lean on one side, your foot is against your back leg, and your back leg is just resting. You can do it this way, or you can change it to what they call deer pose. So I'm going to turn now with my shin so that it's lined up to the edge of my mat, so it's straight out in front of me. And my back thigh is straight out, same line, same parallel line. This back foot is lined up with my knee 90 degrees. All right, so it's much more open. If this feels like too much, then go back to zigzag. I want you to put your hands over the top of your front leg, and you'll start to notice, oh, this kind of looks a little bit like a funky pigeon. And you can stay right here. If you've got more mobility, you can walk yourself over and put your elbows on the mat. You could put your block or your bolster in front of you and rest on your bolster. Any of those choices. So we're in the deeper tissue now of the hip socket, pelvis. It can stir stuff up. So just know that. And adjust yourself as you need to. I like the bolster if you have it, because it can hook right around your front ankle, kind of give your leg a place to be. And again, we find our stillness. If it's hard for you to be still with your eyes open, close them. Your eyes are your strongest sense, and it is really hard to not look around and then not have something going on in your mind because you're looking around like, oh, the books on my shelf are crooked, or oh, there's dirt on the floor, or oh, I have to clean later, whatever it is, right? Close your eyes if that's happening. Let the breath move through, let the body breathe. Remember, when the body stops moving and the breath is calm and quiet, it sends a signal to the nervous system. That signal is for calming, safety. We release chemicals, neurotransmitters, hormones that are healing to our body, healing to our mind, which is why many Yin teachers call this the healing practice. And that's not to say that you're sick and something's wrong with you, but most humans need healing on some level. Whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. What we're blessed with living in this human body. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly, slowly coming up. Bring your legs up. And then bring your legs out in front of you. Give yourself a moment in the middle. Transfer your blocks or your bolsters, whatever you're using. And then if you did zigzag on the first side, which is this easier version, foot against the back leg relaxed, do it that way on the side. If you did deer pose, you're going to take a little bit of a varied position, shin 90 degrees, front leg, thigh, foot 90 degrees, back leg, and then walk yourself so your hands are on the front side of your shin. And ask yourself if that's okay, because it will feel different. Use your block or your bolster if you like. Remember that one way isn't better than another. It's just what is. It's like one moment isn't better than another, and one experience isn't better than another. They're all experiences that we're having. Some say so that we can, experience our full humanness, whatever that is. Not to hide anything away or not acknowledge whatever's happening, but just be with that experience. So today you might choose to be down on your forearms, or you might choose to be up on your hands. Doesn't matter. I notice on this side, it's harder to stay up. I feel like I'm going to fall over on one side. So my decision could be to get rid of the bolster and hold myself up on my hands, so I don't feel like I'm going to rock over. And rather than trying to figure anything out, why things are the way they are, what you have to do to quote unquote fix it, just be with the experience. And be with the flow of the breath. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly walking yourself up. Bring your legs back to center. And find that nice relaxing kind of pausing place. That's a big pose. It doesn't look like a big pose, but it is. There's a lot going on. All right, let's finish up on the ground, lying on our backs. Again, just like we did in the beginning, when you lie down, pick your pelvis up, reset your pelvis in neutral. Now, just for this one last little bit, we're going to go back to Satya. I want you to keep your knees bent. And you are familiar with this action. Arms are going to stay down by your side body. And on your inhale, I want you to press through your feet and raise your pelvis up. And on your exhale, you're going to lower your pelvis down. If you choose to add the arms, The inhale brings the arms over the head as the pelvis rises up. And the exhale brings the hands down and the pelvis down all at the same time. So either pelvis alone or pelvis and arms together. Remember slow motion. Slow motion. As much as you can. Noticing the continuation of the breathing and the flow of the movement. Could be a slight pause in between breaths or in between inhale and exhale. Try not to hang out there too long. When you hold your breath at the top of the inhale, it's very energetic. It can raise the energy and the vibration, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it can also keep you in your head because the energy is moving upward. Let's do 2 more, just nice and smooth. You get lost in the movement because it's so smooth. Get lost in what's happening, the experience. Every second, every movement. Every time I move my hands, I go by this plant and I'm kind of brushing past the leaves, which is really sweet. It adds a little kind of vibration in the plant. Next time your hands and your hips come down, pause. Readjust yourself. And then take your right ankle over your left. We're going to move into a little stretch again for the hip. So I want you to bring your legs towards you. You can hold the top of your shin. You can hold your underside thigh. You can hold your underside shin. Find some place to hold and breathe. This is a 2-minute hold. Find a place where you're not necessarily pulling on your arms, but your structure, what you've created, has given your body enough tension where you can actually feel the unwinding. Take a nice deep breath. And then allow your left foot to land on the floor, but stay in the cross for a moment. I want you to pick your hips up and go to the right. And let your legs in this shape move over to the left. And if you can grab a hold of your foot with your left hand, do so. And then the other arm is going to be away from your body. The other alternative choice that you have is the knee is up towards the ceiling. So there should be something happening in this right hip. If you want extra, you can grab your other foot with your other hand. So you've got your hand on both feet. Both shoulders are on the mat. And you're breathing. Remember to put just enough tension on the tissues so that there's going to be a response, a positive healing response in the body. Too much, you start contracting. Too little, nothing happens. It's such a beautiful practice because you get to choose. Take a nice deep breath. And if you're holding your left foot, release it. And slowly make your way back up. Uncross the top leg. And find your way back into resetting in the center. Take a moment. That was a long time in that position. And when you feel ready, I want you to start with the other side. So left ankle over right knee. Pick your right foot up and find a place where you can hold. And it might be different on this side. Remember, it's always interesting to notice the variations in our right and left side. You soften into the mat, soften into the effort. Allow the breath to guide you. Take a deep breath. And allow your hands to release your legs and bring your right foot back on the floor. Stay in this shape. And pick your hips up and move them to the left. And allow the legs to stay in that shape and move to the right. And see if you can grab your foot. You don't have to. It's just a anchoring spot for you. And then either left shoulder, left arm stay open, or left hand grabs right foot. Try to keep both shoulders down if you can. And breathe. We have energetic endpoints at the top of the head, the bottom of our feet, and the palms of our hands and our fingertips. So I want you to realize if you're holding both feet, that you're holding the endpoints, kind of making a loop, a circuit, a closed circuit of energy all throughout your body. And not only are we stimulating the physical tissue, the joints and the glands, the tendons and the ligaments, the connective tissue, the fascia, we're also stimulating the energy points and the energy lines. This part of our being lives with our breathing. So the breathing is physical and it's energetic. And these things tap into our emotional and our mental parts of ourselves. Which is why when we do such a beautiful practice like this, we feel better on all levels. It's never just one thing. Take a nice deep breath. And if you're holding your right foot with your left hand, release it and then bring yourself back up. Uncross your leg, bring yourself back to center. And again, do a little adjusting. Maybe your knees need to come to your chest now. Maybe you need to swish your knees side to side. We're moving into Shavasana next. So finding that resting place. Please cover yourself up with something, whether it's the whole body or just part of your body, so that your nervous system can stay quiet, calm. If you have anything to cover your eyes, that's a really nice thing to do. And when you find that final resting, comfortable place, and you stop moving, take a nice deep breath and let your body settle. Let that deep breath signal to your body that you're going to settle in. Take a deeper breath. And allow that deeper breath to reach all the way to your fingers and toes. Start to gently stretch and move, bringing yourself back to your body, back to the space around you. And as you feel ready, you can bend your knees, roll to a side, and slowly bring yourself up to sitting. Once you're seated, just close your eyes. Again, one last time, resting in the temple of the spine. Feeling the juice of the practice, the lusciousness. Bring your hands together. Again, when your thumbs touch your breastbone, slide your thumbs gently up the skin to encourage the rib cage to, in a really subtle way, kind of lift. Shoulders will soften, head bows. And gratitude always for our time together on the mat, the amazing practices and teachings of yoga, our deep body wisdom and guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, Sue. That was perfect. I love the hip work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you going to be here next Monday?
Thank you.
Yep, I'll be here.
For you. And
Thank-
cooking turkey, huh? Bye-bye.
I needed that so bad. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you so much for being here. So good to see
Thank you, Sue.
Bye, Carmen.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Lenny.